Greetings and welcome back. This is a continuation of the World Gold Medal Championships. The year I won, 1987, and basically when I got back home, with all the accolades thrown at me and so forth, it became a roller coaster for me, during the following year. I had giant tackle companies offering me sponsorship. Shimano, for example, they offered me all the sponsorship, all the tackle I needed, completely free. Whilst on the continent, the Italian Federation invited me to go to Italy to teach them the waggler fishing, and they offered me £1,000, which was a fair old bit. Unfortunately, John Mayers wanted to get in on the act, and he was negotiating on my behalf, and basically, I think the stakes went up too high, because not only was I and my wife going to go, but he insisted that himself and his wife went as well, and unfortunately, I think he outpriced himself. Nothing come of it. However, I was also approached by a French company, one of the biggest French fishing tackle companies, Gascoigne. Now, what it was, I was on one of these FX exhibitions with Bay Line at the time, and they basically wanted me to promote a new type of fishing line into the UK market. But I tell you what, I'll tell you a little bit about that a little bit further on in a minute, because I was also receiving letters from all over the world. In fact, I had a letter from a fan base in Spain and Portugal, and in fact, it was special to me, because I had a young Spanish angler asked to come and stay with me for a week to teach him the waggler methods. And it was funny, because he came over, and we had some good fun with him. And on the way back to the plane, I nearly missed the plane. The car broke down on the motorway, but we managed to get him there on time anyway. I think the greatest accolade of all, as I already mentioned, is a lot of the continental teams like Spain and Portugal. The angling fraternity, they were calling the waggler method the Branson method. So, as I say, being the first, angler to win the World Championships, especially after having a silver and a bronze, sorry, a silver and then the gold, especially after winning the gold and silver the year before on the waggler, to them it was all a new method. So, they were really, they were taken by it. Yeah, so I became a little bit of a celebrity wherever I went throughout the country. Remember an angler bowing to me at the draw, and it was a big feather in my cap. If anglers next to me in the matches beat me, it was, I suppose, they would tell everyone, they just beat the world champion, which it comes with the territory, doesn't it? You can't win them all. Yes, because I also remember a time when, obviously before I became world champion in one of the internationals, we fished at Round A Park up in Leeds way, and I drew next to Bob Nudd at the time, and of course all the focus was around Bob anyway, I was next peg to him, and I started to catch a bit more than Bob, and I ended up with £17 to his £4. And of course I certainly let everybody know about it when I got back, so so I could understand, and anyone ever beat me, which is feather in my cap really, even though they beat me at the time. But in general, I was idolised by a number of anglers, and coming from Cardiff, South Wales, sometimes it did go against me in certain quarters, meaning the English versus the Welsh fraction, hence my thoughts one day, I thought I'd move to England, and perhaps enhance my dreams of fishing with the best anglers around. you know, thinking what Dick Clegg said to me, that you know, when I had a quiet conversation with him over a pint, he said, you know, if I was born in England, he would have picked me for his team. You know, that was the greatest accolade of all, really, you know, coming from the greatest manager ever. So, you know, as I said, my roller coaster year kept on coming. I made a string of teaching videos, which was the first. Not only did it make me some money, but it gave me the credibility that went with it. You know, how it worked was that I actually, in my video business, I was introduced to a guy named Mick Shepherd, and I forgot the other guy's name. Come to me in a minute, it's old age, see. But anyway, I was introduced to them, and they basically asked me would I like to do some fishing videos, and I thought, yeah, great, you know, why not? You know, it'd be quite good. I think the only videos out at the time, I think Ian Heaps had made one or two, but that was for the Irish Festival, so I thought, well, this could be good for the you know, angling, you know, something new. Videos was the in thing at the time, so yeah, so I went for it, and they gave me a few bob for making it, so, you know, happy days. Yeah, another highlight of my year was when I was invited to the BBC Sports Personality of the Year. Remembering, you know, rubbing shoulders with, you know, some great people there. I remember Rory McNamee, who was one of the top managers at the time, saying, you know, why are you here then? And I said, oh, I'm world champion angler. He said, oh, he said, oh, you're in Jack Charlton's team, are you? Which I thought was funny, because obviously, you know, Jack Charlton, it was, he made a few TV programs about fishing. Also, I was talking to Bruno, you know, the boxer, and I never forget, like, he was asking me, you know, why I'm there, and what did I achieve, and, you know, and anyway, Bruno, all he talked about was all the dog shite that he kept stepping on every time he went out running, training. Big guy, mind, a very big guy. Also, I remember Fatima Whitbread, you know, talking to her, and also the Ryder Golf lads. They actually won the team trophy, including Welsh compatriot Ian Ousnam. You know, yeah, it was all great memories, all great memories. Yeah, anyway, you know, due to my, coming back to my video business days, when I had a connection with the videos, I made a connection with an avid angler and video producer, Mick Shepherd. You know, and we got together, and he recommended, you know, I should make a couple of videos, and I said, yeah, I'd like to make the instructional videos, which I thought would was a market for it. So, you know, as we agreed, the company was called Clean River Productions, and it was great. You know, they offered me a trip, all paid, expense free, to Denmark to fish the River Gooden. And I think there was ulterior motives there as well, because I think he had a girlfriend over there as well. But anyway, they paid me £2,000 in cash up front, plus, you know, all my expenses. So, as I say, it was great fun making those videos. But I must admit, I was out of my comfort zone a little bit, you know, acting in front of the camera, and I was making silly mistakes and getting my words all wrong, and it was all good fun. And I did suggest, you know, to the producers that why not, all the mistakes we make, why not put them on the end of the film and call them fishing gaffes. So that's what we did. I think that's where they come from. Anyway, so yeah, so I made a string of, in fact, I'll put some pictures of the videos I made on the end of the video here. Anyway, subsequent to making and distributing the videos, it did make me a bit of a household name, and it did, as I said, I got introduced to Dave Hall's publications. Yeah, as I said, it was during an interview with Dave Hall Publications, the Matchfishing magazines, that I introduced, you know, Dave Hall asked me who made my videos, and I said, well, Clean River Productions. And anyway, after introducing them, they got together, and then they made a string of other videos, you know, it included some good anglers such as Keith Arthur, Dave Harrell, Ivan Marks, Jan Porter, and a few more. But I like to think that perhaps I was the first to show the way, if you know what I mean. And they learned off making my videos, so at least the company knew what they were doing, I suppose. But having great success distributing my videos, I was approached also by another video company, and this time I could put a bit more input. Therefore, so to help the company, I did suggest, well, let's make one for beginners. My favourite method at the time was a pole to hand on the rivers, and also making one on the Welsh Raven at Twyford Farm, match fishing videos. So, I've got to tell you about this because I'm making a video. You can't make it up. It's got to be, you have one shot and that's it. And I remember this one time that we went to Twyford Farm, and it was a good match. They were all there. There was some good anglers that including Frank Barlow, as I mentioned earlier on my vlogs, Ken Giles, Tom Pickram was there, Jan Porter. There's a host of good anglers there. We made the video. Of course, I didn't draw very well, so we had to make a video, and who should win it that day was Jan Porter. So that put Jan's name in lights, so to speak, even though it's my video. But anyway, rest in peace, Jan. He passed away a few years ago, and last time I saw Jan was on a Riverfest on the Bristol Haven a couple of years ago, and he was, I'll never forget, his van was camouflaged. Yeah, he had a camouflage van. But a nice guy Jan was, always had time to stop and talk, He never alienated me like a lot of other, so-called stars, and but I won't go into their names at the moment, as I said, as another time I was asked to make another video featuring Paul Gascoigne, the famous international footballer. Dick Clegg turned up, and Phil Briscoe of Maver Fishing Tackle. He's the one who basically, put it all together. Now, stopping over the weekend with Paul Gascoigne was great fun, to say the least, getting to know him, but I felt sorry for his demeanour, because in the news media, they were always picking on him, and I know what it's like, when you're top of the tree, you do anything wrong, bang, they're on you like a bag of nails. So, as I said, I felt sorry for Gaza, but he was a good, really nice guy. Yeah, the producer, as I said, Phil Briscoe, when we were making the film, he said, can I play a trick on, Gaza where we were filming? So anyway, I thought of an idea. I thought, yeah, I had a flask of tea there, so I emptied it and put some water in it, and I caught an eel, and I popped the eel inside the flask. And anyway, Paul came up, during the sort of fishing filming, and asked me, "Hello, Clive, how are you?" I said, "Okay," in his broad accent, his Newcastle accent. I couldn't understand him half the time. But anyway, as we ended up chatting away, he mentioned Cardiff City, my team, and a bit of banter he said, and I said, well, at least I didn't end up crying, which he did in one of the internationals. But we had a bit of fun. Anyway, during the fishing, I asked Paul to pour me a cup of tea out, So he did, and as he did, the flask, I opened the flask, out popped the eel. Well, he jumped out of his skin, didn't he? He picked it up, and he quick think, he said, "Clive, you got a bite," and me, like a fool, looked round to see if I had a bite, and he shoved the eel right on my neck. Bugger. But it was great fun, good fun. I'll see if I can put a link on, because I know it's on YouTube. I'll see if I can put a link so you can have a look at that. But anyway, that was it. Good fun, great fun. But like I said, right at the very beginning of my vlogs, it wasn't all sunshine, there were some showers on the way. I remember, a time that I was invited up to Dave Hall's magazine, you know, the angling, match angling, you know, headquarters. And you know, Dave Hall, I always thought he was a nice guy, really, but you know, I don't know, I had some dealings with him, which you know, and I know he might go against a lot of other people, you know, what they thought, but you know, for me, I don't think he'd done me any favours, you know, even though he, you know, I did write 1 or 2 articles. But I'll tell you a bit more about that later, because I think we fell out because what happened, as I said, I was invited there, and who was there was Roger Mortimer, Mark Downes, and you know, they were all around the table and you know, having a few drinks, smelling, you know, smoking some funny fags. You know, I think they're all high actually when I got there. And anyway, I showed Dave Hall some pictures of me celebrating the World Championships, you know, because, you know, you want me to write a little bit of a short biography, I suppose, you know, of how I got into fishing, etc. And anyway, I showed him this picture of Dick Clegg and my wife, Pat, you know, dancing. Now, at the time, Pat was a very, you know, pretty lady, and anyway, no, unfortunately, Dave Hall didn't know this, and he said, "Oh, I like this picture." He said, "I'll put this in his rumours and snide remarks, if you don't mind, Clive. You know, Dick dancing with a black beauty, or you know, words to that effect." And anyway, right at that moment, Mark Downes coughed and said, "Dave, can I see you in the kitchen a minute?" He went up the kitchen and he told Dave, he said, "That's Clive's wife you're talking about there." Anyway, he come in, Dave, and he apologised. You know, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean this and that," you know, and he apologised quite profusely. But as I said, whether that soured our relationship, I don't know, but perhaps the reason, you know, that I never really finished my series of fishing articles that I had lined up with him, but no one will ever know that now. Yeah, just to finish that a bit off, because later on in the years, I was fishing a veterans match at Evesham when I bumped into Stan Peacher, and he admitted that Dave Hall decided not to help me any further in my match fishing career, and you know, because I suppose it must have been a Welsh thing or something, but you know, as I say, Stan, he didn't go into it any further, but that, you know, that was it was said. You know. Anyway, thought I'd just put the story right. Yes. Anyway, so I got to mention this as well, because I did mention at the beginning of my vlogs as well about innovations, and you know, I like to think that I have helped the British angler in one way or another, because as I mentioned, the French company Water Queen, huge company, approached me to market their fishing line and their products to the British marketplace. And you know, after a long you know, deliverance over it, because obviously I was with Aiken Bay Line at the time, but they offered me something I couldn't refuse, so I accepted. Unfortunately, the marketplace really wasn't ready for the new low diameter lines, you know, which is a pity, because these days, as we all know, everybody uses low diameter lines. And I remember when I tried to promote the high-tech fishing line into most of the tackle shops that I went to visit, most of them said, "Oh, that's a fad, nobody will want them." You know, the main line was Maxima and Bayer, and you know, and the new line was nonsense. And I remember one or two of them, you know, tying knots and snapping them, and you know, thinking, "Oh, that'll be no good in the British market." But you know, I think obviously the Continentals were a bit in advance of us at that time, including one line in particular was the special Anglais line, which was years ahead at that time, because it was silicone covered and it was fantastic for rod and reel fishing. You know, it eliminated any wear and tear, and you know, it floats. You could also get a sinking line. You know, now the hook lengths, you know, were brilliant. They were half the diameter than our British lines, but they had elasticity. You could actually stretch the line. You know, very hard to break. But as I said, you know, a lot of the tackle shops were very short-minded, and you know, they just look at the profit side of it, I suppose. You know, but anyway, as I mentioned before, I think every angler in the world now uses low-tech lines. But you know, I've nothing but good to say about the company Waterqueen and their products, because I actually spent a month at the company's address and the factory, and I spent time with the directors, and they treated me like a lord, to be honest. Also, spending the time away, I was fishing with their local fishing team, and they certainly taught me a few lessons, especially in tackle preparation. You know, because you know, saying that they prepare their tackle, they all week, you know, just for a short 3-hour match. It was unbelievable, you know, and they used long plastic shotting tubes, you know, something that we never did in them days. And you know, they shot their floats, and you know, the amazing thing about that is that unlike the British angler, where you know we'd reuse our float on the winder, they'd only ever use it once. You know, they spend all week setting up their floats on winders, fish a match, and then after the match destroy it. You know, that is perfection at its height. You know, amazing. Yeah, I suppose my as a businessman, I don't know, my dealings were a bit mixed, because although I loved my fishing experience with Waterqueen, I don't seem to be very good in business, because I lost this deal when I allowed another business partner into the company, a certain chap named Ian Curry. Now, he was an angler, you know, and all he was interested is the bottom line, I suppose. Now, he took control of the distribution of the line, and as I say, because he's a you know, non-fishing company, they were only really concerned, you know, as I said, about the investment and the returns. And because the British angler was slow to catch on to these new fishing lines, because at the time, bear in mind, there was over 4 million anglers, and you know, they thought, equate line to anglers, you know, they thought they would be on a killing. And of course, the profits did not exceed their investments. And although I enjoyed the 12 months of being paid to go fishing, and I had a car, and you know, it was great, you know, but it all finished, you know. I lost the deal, and you know, as I said, I should have done it myself and kept it going. Oh, another company as well during that year, a knowledge management company. They were interested in managing me, you know, obviously because I was hot property at the time. And as I said, they approached me, and I spoke a lot about my ground bait mixes, because at that time, the British ground bait market, there wasn't any continental ground baits. They were just brown crumb, you know. Maybe there was the odd bag coming from France or Belgium, but at the time, no, there wasn't. So anyway, I told them a little bit about my my secrets, and well, what I've learned, I suppose, over the years. And I said, yeah, I'd love to you know, to mix, you know, make my own range of ground bait. And so after some lengthy talks and discussions, we agreed, and we called the range the Gold Medal Ground Bait, and using the Welsh team later date, you know, to help market the range. And it started slowly taking off, but more about that later. Again, you know, the same management company also suggested we made a series of ongoing videos. You know, the company called the name of that, online videos, which I thought was quite good, very apt, you know, when you consider the internet was just about to start. And as we proceeded with a match fishing film, that was it. Unfortunately, only one video was ever made, and although they devised and penciled in a comprehensive series of films covering all the aspects of fishing, it was such a pity they never continued, because I'm sure, you know, it was a good idea at the time, you know, which never sort of come to fruition. Anyway, as I mentioned, it wasn't all you know, high flying, because I remember a time I was shot down by the press. As I said, because with innovations, as I said, that's the secret in becoming the top, you know, the best. And you know, with innovations always on the forefront of my mind, I remember reading this magazine, and some guy had invented these telescopic glasses, you know, and I thought, hey, what a great idea, you know, for like, you know, long float range fishing, you know, and I thought, especially because long range float fishing on the continent was you know, was very popular. So anyway, I wrote them a letter saying, you know, I could be interested, and then they approached me again after a week, and the company, as I said, they were like a telescopic eyeglass. I'll put a picture on the end so you've got an idea. And as I said, they had like an adjustment on the side, so it'd be like looking through binoculars, really, and the float would come right up at vision, and you see every bite. And anyway, so I decided, yeah, I'll put my name forward for it. They paid me £1,000 up front. I thought, well, that was quite good, and also I was going to get some royalties. And unfortunately, I sent a couple of pairs out to the angling press, you know, to try and promote it. And the Angling Times, you know, since particularly, you know, went to them for appraisal, and I was shot down in flames, basically by a derogative article, with the editor saying at the time it was like looking through a goldfish ball, you know, which really destroyed it for us. You know, I just couldn't sell any more. However, Milo Colombo, the giant Italian tackle company, when I approached them, thought it was a good idea, and they placed an order for a few thousand. So you know, so on a positive note, I'm hoping that you know, they made some money back, you know, at a later date. Again, on another positive note, I did enjoy a feature on the television with Keith Arthur and Bruno Brooks. It was a highlight, really, of the year, and I was answering, you know, viewers' questions and generally being recognised by a wider audience, which is, you know, it's something I never forgot. And you know, as I say, it was all good fun. The only thing was, I couldn't get a word in with Keith Arthur. He was, he always kept jumping in on any of my questions. And I was asked as well by somebody from the West Country, what did I think about me being a professional, and is it unfair advantage? Well, I couldn't really answer that because, as I say, you know, if you fish you know, some of you fishes every day compared with some of you just fishes once a week. Yeah, you're bound to have an advantage, aren't you? You know, especially if you go and practice on the venue the day before. Anyway, I'll leave it at that now. As I said, it was a great year. I'll put some pictures on the end so you can see a couple of things that I've done. And as I say, great memories. Hope you enjoyed it. Next year, or next vlog, is the 1988 World Championships on the Damme Canal at Belgium. And you know, how you can be top of the tree 1 minute and down the bottom the next. Anyway, more about that in the next video.